So hello everyone and welcome to this new podcast, 10 questions about cloud. Today we have Mario with us. Hello, Mario.
Hello. Hello, Pablo.
So I always start with the first question, which is basically a short introduction about yourself, who you are and what you do.
Yes, of course. So my name is Mario. I'm working since 20 years in the information technology, and I came to the information technology at the beginning of the 2000s, and I was a career changer. So I made an apprenticeship in electromechanics, and then I've changed my working field to the information technology. And since then, I'm working in different kinds of information technology and in this field. And together with my working colleagues, we just started to use Linux, for example, and then we started to make some web server hosting. And then from the web server hosting, we came to infrastructure. Then there was the VMware change, then we moved to virtualization. And over the time, we also adopted container technologies, for example, and then the Docker. And nowadays, we are also using a lot of pipelining and CI/CD jobs and automate everything that is possible or which makes sense to do an automatization with it. So yeah, that's my background, and I'm also a Docker community leader and the GitLab Hero. So I'm also engaged with some parts of the community, and I'm always trying to do some stuff also in this field, because I think it's really important to spread the word and to talk about the things and to let other people know about the experience you made in the past and what you're doing now and what you're thinking about some technology things. And of course, today also something like the communication or organization of work is also a very important thing for me. Yeah, that's it.
Well, very long, but also very interesting journey.
Yes,
you went all steps through the let's say, IT history, so to say.
Yeah, nearly. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So I think my the first computer which I came in touch with was from my brother. It was an Atari 1020, and this was in the 80s, in mid of the 80s. So there was where I started to get used to IT as such, and then the whole environment changed rapidly. So yeah.
Oh yeah,
I did a lot.
cool, really interesting, and yeah, looking forward to see also during the next years how you evolve.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm also very curious and excited about what's going on and what's coming up next. And there will be always a change, I think, in the information technology also in the future, because there is, I think, no ending. Everything is going in the digitalization direction. So yeah, I think there are a lot of things to come.
Yeah. Okay. So I believe that well, I mean, you already talked about how many things you need to learn over the time to keep yourself up to date and to be able to continue implementing or adopting the new technologies.
Sure.
So I believe that the cloud knowledge is going to be kind of a standard in the IT industry. Like everyone in the IT industry will need to know at least like the very basic things about cloud. But that's my opinion. I mean, what do you think about this? Do you also share the same opinion?
Yeah, yes, I'm sharing the same opinion, but I'm not exactly sure if it will become something like Word or Excel in the near future. Maybe in a couple of years, maybe, yeah. But I think it's a difference if you are architecting cloud technologies, for example, or if you're using cloud technology. So I think also in the last couple of years, I think in the last 3 to 5 years, I would like to say is that I think there was a change. So some years ago, the cloud adoption was more straightforward, and today there are a lot of different enterprises or firms which are creating cloud solutions, but there are different. So some of them solutions, they are easy to adopt for for example, for an end user or a customer, yeah. But below this level, I think of cloud solutions, there are also some really deep going architecting things. So I think, yes, on the one hand, there will be something like the cloud will be a standard in the future, but I'm not sure at which level this standard will plug in. So I'm currently not sure about it, or if it will be something like Word or Excel in this sentence. Yeah. So I say yes in some cases, enough. No in other cases. But let's see. I'm curious what's coming up.
No, fair enough. Nothing is white or black. There are also grays.
No, never. Yeah. So there's definitely there are different shades of colors. Clouds, technologies, organizational things, architectures, and so on. So I think for everyone, there's a place in the cloud. Yeah. So it's a thing about what you need also.
I agree on that, just talking about cloud is too general because there are so many fields inside and so many, and it's impossible to know about everything in the cloud. Anyways, the next question is related to the advantages because the cloud has a lot of advantages. But I would like to just mention a few of them. What are the most important ones for you?
Yeah, I think currently, I think for a lot of people, the most important pro for using a cloud or adopting cloud technologies is the flexibility. On the one hand, and on the other hand, I think that's the one of the main reasons. And the second main reason from my point of view is that there are a lot of companies out there which can consult you if you have a problem or if you need a solution. So I think definitely the greatest benefit from a startup to an enterprise, I think it doesn't really matter, is that you can find a lot of people out there which have advantage, which have the knowledge about how to adopt the clouds as such. Yeah, but I think that in some kind this is also a little bit of maybe a problem because I think the people and the administrators which are really knowing in deep detail what's going on in clouds are not that widespread as it should be. So this is a good thing that everyone adopts cloud technologies and is going into the cloud and use this for the solutions and so on. But I think sometimes or it might be a problem in the future because through this grade of abstraction, it will be hard if you are facing really big problems or performance issues, then you have to go in the deep details. And then I think it's a little bit of a problem to find the people who have the knowledge in the details too. So the greatest pro, I think, is in fact flexibility, speed, and of course you get a lot of people which can help you out.
Cool. Very, very important points, and you share also a few of them. I will add, for example, nowadays in this situation, enterprises are very interested on, for example, on cost savings, reducing the bills, and if you know how to use properly the cloud, then this gives you a big advantage. But this can be also a con because if you don't know how to use the cloud properly, it can be really, really expensive.
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. Yeah, there's great potential to save costs, of course, but if you're going on in this level or in this direction, you really have to know what's going on, and you have to go in the automatization, and you have to take care, and you have to know your workloads in detail. So you have to know which workload you have at which time on the day or in the month or whatever. And then you have to implement the technology or the workflows so that you can, for example, scale your workloads or whatever you like. Yeah, but I would say that that's an intermediate level of cloud adoption because that needs some more details.
Yeah, I agree on that. Let's change a little bit the topic.
Sure.
One of the most common questions that I get, which is not that easy to answer, but it's which cloud provider to use. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that depends on some factors. The first one I would say is it depends on the software which you would like to run in the cloud. So of course, there are products out in the field which are supporting AWS, for example, more than GCP, or they are more fitting to Alibaba, for example, than to Azure, or the other way around, or some combination of everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it depends on what your business needs on the software stack side. It's the one reason. And the second, I think, it also depends on the people, because I think the people are the most important value here, or the most important variable, because everyone has some kind of history, like I have, of course, yeah. But if you have people who are already engaged with, let's say, Azure, for example, then it definitely makes sense to use this cloud, because I think that's what we talked before, is that then the chances are really good that you can really use the cloud in an efficient way, yeah? And in a cost-saving way, and in a way where you can get really the benefits out of maybe the move to the cloud or the adoption of the cloud. So I think there's no golden rule for it, what cloud to use. So I think you have to look at the environment, the people, especially that you maybe have in your company, or that you can also hire maybe. And then, of course, what the software is made for, because nowadays I think a couple of software products are just installed by a consultant or by a company which will do the maintenance. And therefore, I think it's a good idea to use the cloud where the developer or the company which is selling the software is familiar with, I think.
Well, you touch two very important points, in my opinion. One is the use case, and the other one is the skills.
Yeah.
In my opinion, really, you touched the two more important points when choosing the right cloud provider for your company or your situation.
I think so. Yeah.
Totally agree. Okay, let's continue with a really trendy word, or basically is very popular at the moment. Well, not at the moment, already during the last years, which is the word multi-cloud. Yeah. What do you think about these approaches? Do you think it's something for each company? Do you think would you recommend that? I don't know.
Yeah, I think a multi-cloud strategy, I think, also depends on the skills and the people which are empowering a multi-cloud plan, or a multi-cloud strategy. Because if you are going in the direction of multi-cloud, then you might have to know about, for example, Ansible, Terraform, or in general infrastructure as code build-ups. Because if you stick to the cloud opportunities that you had, for example, in AWS, then you might have a hard time if you have to migrate inside the multi-cloud infrastructure from one cloud to another cloud. So multi-cloud as such makes definitely sense, yeah, if you have a large environment, or if you have to power high reliability marketplaces, for example, where you make sure that you are not affected by an outage from one cloud provider, even if it is a big cloud provider, but outages will happen sooner or later. So I think if you are in an enterprise where you really are depending on the outcome and on the value from your platform, then you should definitely think about adopting multi-cloud. Yeah, but that needs some kind of skill set, of course, to make it safely to use multi-cloud. Yeah, and I think beside the multi-cloud discussion, there is also always the hybrid cloud discussion.
Yeah.
So if you are using maybe you're a cloud provider, for example, to stretch your data center, or to stretch your compute power, or to use the cloud for high performance computing tasks for calculations, or whatever is out there for AI, or for I don't know, picture recognition, or just name it. Yeah, but I think that's also true there. You have to have some skill sets, and you have to learn the skill sets, or you have someone who has already some experience in this field to make it really happen, that it really works for you. So yes, definitely. I say multi-cloud is a fact today. And also what I'm seeing is also the hybrid clouds are coming up more and more. Sure.
Yeah, definitely. I also see that it adds a lot of complexity and also maintenance. So you need to skill more people on that. But on the other side, it offers also a lot of advantages, which covering a lot of use cases, so to say.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Okay, let's continue now with the cloud market.
Oh yeah.
There are a lot of players in the cloud market, like AWS, GCP, Azure. You already mentioned a lot of them.
Yeah.
And I know this question is tricky because we don't see the future. However, I'm interested in just knowing how you see this evolving in the future.
I think from the current point of view, and as I said, it's a little bit in the cloud. What's coming up in the next few years, yeah. But I think it will only slightly shift, because today I think at least the most common cloud providers already have some strategy or where they are strong in. So, for example, AWS is the big player. It's a long-term player. It was the first one who was really up and running. So there are a lot of people out there who knows which they are using AWS. So, for example, Azure has the Microsoft word behind, and GCP is the number crunching company. So I think at least the great providers already have some portfolio which you can use, and which I think will not change that much in the future. So there will be slightly changes, but I think there will be, yeah, just some percent, I think, yeah. And I think that's also true for Alibaba, for example, because of the Chinese market and so on. So they are already big there. They have a lot of economy there. There are a lot of people who are working there and so on. So there are. So I think everyone has a good basis, and I think it will mostly continue on this racing point, I guess, at the moment.
Very good that you mentioned this last part, because my next question was related to the Chinese cloud providers or the Chinese cloud market.
Yeah.
Since we have seen that during the last years, it's a market which is massive and it's growing very, very fast.
Of course.
And yeah, we have seen that it has become the second biggest cloud market in the world, and it's almost just starting, so to say. So how do you expect this to evolve? What do you think about that?
I think that especially Alibaba, for example, for this kind of region in the world, I think we will have a great raising of the cloud market share, of course, in this region, because as every time you also have to look about latencies in the networking. If you're talking about global software which you are providing, or where is the nearest way for the user. I think that's also the reason why a lot of other cloud providers are powering up data centers also in these regions to get some the nearest way for the user to attach to these clouds. And therefore, I think for sure, yeah, the Alibaba cloud will still raise, because it's a giant market there. So, and there are a lot of people, and also with the digitalization and so on. I think not that this is stoppable. So I think it's racing in the future, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, the market is huge. I read an article that was saying about 800 million of internet users, which is massive.
It's extremely. It's also interesting, or what I read about the not competition, but if you look at the numbers, which what AWS is doing on one day and in the cloud, or Amazon, to name it, and what is Alibaba also has an economy share on certain days, that's impossible. So it's really huge. So yeah, it's really impressive on this point.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we are almost finishing the podcast. Just the last two questions. Could you share with us one of the latest things that you learned about cloud? I know you learn a lot of things, but
yeah,
I don't know, something interesting for the listeners.
I think the most important thing that I have learned in the last year is that I think the technology is not the problem, I think, because technology is already solved in a lot of ways, especially for the cloud adoption and the networking and I don't know, load balancing and web servers. And I think there is a lot of stuff out there which is already solving a lot of problems most of the people can have. But what I have learned in the case of cloud adoption in last year is that it's already important, or it will be really important, that you can just manage your teams to work with the cloud, that you have some share on the people, what the people have the skills, and how you can integrate them in teams. How is your work organization? How you're dealing with the outages? Because there are the people involved, and there are our colleagues involved to empower these things. Because the technologies, yeah, you can find someone who knows the technology or who programs it, but this game who is working between the people and between the operations and so on. I think that's what I've learned in the last year, that I think it is changing at the moment, because a lot of other things are really solved at the moment, like containerization or VMwares or cloud instances, machine learning and so on. But now I think it's important to bring people on board to adopt these technologies and to work together.
Actually, this aligns very good with what you said before, cloud skills, cloud knowledge, the team.
And the culture, and the working culture. It's really important to have a good working culture, and a working culture where everyone can be part of. So, and no one is left behind, because I think things are changing really fast today, especially in the cloud technologies, and therefore you have to build up a team or people who are really engaged with, also the teamwork, I think.
Yeah, actually technology is just a tool, and persons are the the machines behind that.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I think because the people are bringing new ideas in, or new solutions with existing tools. I think some of the times I think cloud is something like Lego. So where you take the bricks and put it together, and then you have a building, for example, and then you take the same bricks and move it around and stick it together, and then you have a picture, or you have a ship, or you have a rocket, or you have something which you can imagine. And I think the cloud offers you these bricks, but what you are doing with these bricks depends on the creativity of the people. I think so.
Yeah, in my opinion, there are as many ways as colors to build the same solution, so to say.
Yes, of course. Yeah, that's the point. Yeah,
exactly.
That's really the point. Yeah.
All right. So the last question is related to the information, because you know how many information is out there about cloud-related topics. But as we already said before, cloud is too big, and you have to choose in which topic is more interesting for you, or in which topic do you want to specialize. And I'm just curious about the sources that you are using to keep yourself up to date.
Yeah, I have to say, from the old days, I had some RSS feed news reader. I still have this one because there are still magazines out there and technical papers out there which you can just grab with an RSS feed reader. So I'm still depending on this one. And of course, today I think Medium is of course a good source for a lot of information, and Twitter, for example, because as you said, if you just follow some people on Twitter, you can relatively easily catch a lot of technical changes, because I think my feeling is that most of the time, always the same 20 to 50 persons are just deploying new and innovative stuff or just came in touch with the new stuff. So if you have built up some followings or some fellowships which you're reading, that you get a really good overview what is currently going on. So I think Twitter, Medium, and classical RSS feed reader are still important. And of course, listening to podcasts like to your podcast or to other ones is really important, because if people are talking together and about topics, then there are different opinions, and that's good. And there are different meanings about the things and different ideas and different imaginations, what's going on. But I think as long as we exchange our thoughts, there is always something you can learn from everyone.
Definitely. I totally agree with that. Opinions are very important, and everyone has a different experience, a different culture, or even a different country. So
different business, different environment. Everyone has something special, and everyone has, I think so, also something to share about. So yeah,
I think it's the best way to finish the podcast with those phrases.
Thank you. Yeah.
So we are already done. The time flies. It was really a pleasure for me having you here. Thank you very much for participating, for sharing your thoughts, your experience, and opinions. I have learned a lot from you. Definitely.
I have also learned a lot from you. We talked about before the podcast, and I would like to say thank you, Pablo, for your invitation. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you also. So that was it. See you in the next podcast. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.